Perfect. Let's go.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. And thanks for taking the time to join us today to learn a little bit more about SparkChart. As you all probably know, we're coming up on AppSumo. And we can't talk about the deal tonight because we have got an agreement with AppSumo. So we're really focused on SparkChart. And we'd like to talk a bit about how it came about and then take you through a walkthrough and actually create a survey, set up a project. We'll get you all to complete the survey, and then we'll show you how to create a report and to share the results. Then we'll talk about the roadmap going forward, and we'll also then be open for some questions and answers. So a bit about SparkChart. Well, sorry about this, but that's me. I had to make it big. I'm in Australia. I've been involved in surveys for 25 or so years. And I'm a bit of a stalker for Dave, my co-founder, because he and I work very closely together. Now, Dave lives in Poland. He has been developing for more than 20 years. And he's also had 15 years in surveys because he and I worked together in my last company, which was a feedback and survey company. So he does the real work. We haven't got a picture of Dave. We've got what I think is a picture of Dave there. And his idol is the Stig. So he hides his email address and does the coding in the background. But later on, you'll have a chance to hear from him. So how did this sort of mission come about? Well, I was talking to Dave a few years ago, and I asked him if he wanted to spend 3 years of his life building a survey SaaS with no income and no guarantee of success. Not only that, how about we do it from the other side of the globe, because Dave lives in Poland and I live in Australia. And let's do it without meeting face to face. So that's what we've done. We've been working on this for 3 years, part-time to start with, but full-time really for the last year. And we've done it without actually having come face to face. Now, Dave's response when I said that was, sure thing. Sounds like it's a smart thing to do when I'm in. So we set about this journey together. Now, why do we choose this? I mean, we know that there are lots of other survey providers out there, and we know that SurveyMonkey, if anyone's familiar with SurveyMonkey, that they're worth about $2 billion. So I guess we'd like a little bit of that. But really, Dave and I believe in the value of feedback and the importance. And if you think of every successful sporting team out there, they've got stats on everything, and their players get feedback on everything, as do their coaches. Everyone's watching them. Every commentator is giving them feedback on what they should do. The other thing is that even though there are a lot of providers, our research shows that about 95% of organizations out there aren't using any survey tool. They're not getting any feedback, or if they are, they're paying a very large amount to consultants. We also saw that there are a lot of rubbish surveys. Now, this isn't always a reflection. This isn't a reflection on those survey SaaSes out there and other survey companies. But surveys are complex. And I guess one thing we want to do is to help people to become experts in getting the feedback they need and engaging people to complete the surveys. So yeah, we're passionate about it, and we've been involved in it for a long time. But we are very new to this SaaS space. So what about the other tools out there? Well, there are other very good tools. I put that note on Facebook today. The right one depends on the purpose you have and the goals and objectives. Some are very specific. They're focused on forms, or maybe they're focused on WordPress. Maybe they're focused on one particular part of surveys like Net Promoter Score. So SparkChart won't be right for everyone, but we provide a value for money. We are significantly cheaper if you look at our costs than SurveyMonkey and the other providers, particularly when you look at the unlimited users we're offering. But it's a power tool also. It's got a lot of features. It can also be used for small surveys very easily though too. And what we're learning as well, and what we're finding out from Facebook groups and also through the AppSumo launch, we're going to be finding out all those needs and all those uses, those use cases that we hadn't thought about, that we'll get Dave the Ninja developer onto building, and then I'll be the pain in the ass tester, giving him feedback on it. The other thing we wanted to do was to have no frustrating upgrades. So, you know, we have a plan and you get everything. So why choose SparkChart? Well, I would be saying if you want a power survey tool with customized branding, personalized deployment and follow-up capacity, so you can email participants, you can see who's completed the surveys, you can send them reminders, those who haven't completed it. The people who have completed it, they can just, you don't send them anything. So we've very personalized deployment and follow-up, plus the ability to share it on social media or websites. You know, a client just the other day is sending out an SMS with all the survey links. If you want to dig deep and have some fun with the analysis, and what I think you'll find is that we make the analysis pretty easy. Then to create beautiful reports super fast, you know, instant results, you can see them build. You can actually create your report in advance of sending a survey out and then share it with people and be able to see the results as they build. To not have to export. A lot of the other tools promote you can export to CSS, SPSS, Excel, PowerPoint, Word. Well, we sort of question that. Why is there a need? Why should you have to export? So we've actually built into SparkChart, excuse me, the ability to be able to create your presentations, put your recommendations or your messages into the reports, create a report with your messages, your customized branding, and share it with people. And to share it either publicly with a link, or to be able to share it with a password protection. The other thing is that you'll get access to experts who are, you know, we love what we do. So we want to help you be successful and become survey experts. We know you've got all different needs out there. So we want to listen to what you're looking for, digest that, and look for the really important things that are going to create value for you, and then we want to build that and add that to what we offer. So what I thought we'd do is I'm going to now show you the dashboard for SparkChart, talk a bit about the layout, the way it's designed, and some elements in terms of navigating around it. And then I'm going to take you through the process of creating a survey, setting up and launching a project, and I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to put it, create a link, and I'm going to post it in the chat area here, and you can then complete the survey. Now, Brian's on a mobile, but if I've got his email, we could send him an email invitation to do the survey, and he could do it on his mobile phone. While you're getting your responses after that, we're going to analyze and filter the results and then share a report with you. Okay, so let me just jump into the dashboard. Now, before I go any further, are there any questions in chat? Anyone want to ask anything before I go any further? Okay, I'll take that as no. All right, so we've logged into the dashboard in SparkChart. Now, the first thing you'll notice I'm going to tell you about is we have a lot of help, and we have a lot of page-specific help. If you see this blue panel on the page here, we call that page help, and it's accessible from your personal profile. You can hide it, and you can show the page help. So you can close it and reopen it. And there are around about 20 odd videos. Now, you have to listen to my voice as you go through the video, but they take you through the process, and they're page specific as you go through. Now, it can be a bit frustrating once you know the tool, having these blue panels. So you can actually go in, and I'll go in there now, and go to settings, and you can go to your help and guides, and we can hide all of that page help. So now, wherever we go, the page help is turned off. But if, for example, we go to survey templates, I'll come back to explain the menus in a minute, you can very quickly get to see the page help and the videos very quickly. We also have we have a help center. We're using Zendesk for our support and help center. Planning to use ConvertFox as well for aspects of our chat. Now, in the so when you click on help, it takes you to a specific article related to the area that you were just in. So we were in survey templates, and it's opened up into the help on survey templates, where you can find out more about it, and usually there are videos there as well. Now, you can also access and ask questions from the Help Center, and again, that opens up into Zendesk, where there are, we've broken down the help. Sorry, I'm logged in. I'll just need to go to the guide because I'm logged into support. And so we've broken it down into getting started, frequently asked questions, and then surveys, tools, mail templates. We're really sort of following the process: launch a project, plan the mission, distribute surveys, analyze and share results. So we're sort of trying to follow the typical survey process, but also outline some of the tools in SparkChart. So there's plenty of help, and you can search on help to, and when you type in your search, it'll come up with suggested articles that you can use. But we're here to help. So if you need help, jump on chat or send us a message. Sorry, we got a message. We got a question there. I see a couple of questions. Can we hold the questions, and we'll do Q&A at the end? Is that okay, Sampath?
Sure, that works. Let's go ahead and go with the survey. All
right then. So when you arrive in SparkChart, you'll arrive at the dashboard. Now the dashboard has, this is where you create your templates, your survey templates, mail templates, tools like rating scales, answer lists. You can add your contacts in here as well. So when you create a project and you launch it, it takes you to a dedicated set of menus for that particular project. So that'll become evident in a minute. But what we're going to do first of all is we are going to create a survey. I'm going to go to the survey templates, and in my survey templates, I've got a number of surveys here that I've added to this account. Now, we can do one of two things here. We can add a new survey and add an empty one. So if I add an empty survey, I'll just call it, just so it's at the top, 00 test. I can choose a default rating scale. I'll go for agreement. I can actually tag an item into, if I were to add it to, for example, customer or employee, I can create new tags. So if I create a tag and call it test, then when I save this, it'll appear out to the left in the menus under test. So if I click save, and then I can go to the test tag, and there's my test survey, and I can start adding the content. Now, here's where you can create a survey from scratch. You might want to start with text. So you might have a question about the demographics, and you can use HTML. so you can insert your text, and then maybe you want to add a question. So this is how you go about building, you know, how old are you? And we'll choose single answer, and we can add some options. So maybe it's less than 30, 30 to 50, more than 50. We can allow people to comment. We can make it required. My advice is that you only make questions required by exception. It's very frustrating for people when they're forced to give an answer and maybe you haven't thought through all the options and you end up with invalid data. So you can make it required, but I do that by exception. And you can allow people to comment. Now, this type of question, you wouldn't get them to comment, but you can turn on comments, and people can add comments specifically about the question that you're asking. And we can apply themes, which I'll leave for now. Think of themes as being objectives that you want to achieve. So demographics might be a theme. I want to, for example, understand the demographic nature of my audience, so when I come to interpret the results, I can break it down. Depending upon the survey you're doing, if you're doing a survey on, you know, on my website, you might have a theme about the, or a SAS, for example, about the usability of the new user experience. You might have an objective about the features that you're offering. So we call them themes. It's a little bit different to some of the others, other survey providers. They talk about themes being sort of the colors that you apply. We think of them more as being related to the objectives of the survey. So click save, and I can just keep building the survey, and I can insert page breaks. So this is how you go about building a survey from scratch. And now you'll see out here, we've got these icons. They tell you a little bit about what's been enabled, but you can go back into, you know, to edit each item by clicking on the edit button. So that's one way you can go about building the survey. So you can build one from scratch. We also have in the survey templates, if we click on survey template, we've got a library. Now, if I click on library, this will take you to a whole lot of survey templates and with some navigation at the top. So if we were to look at the customer facing surveys, and you can dig through and have a look at what's there. We're planning to add 5 or 6 surveys a month over the next, and hopefully we'll add more than that. But we can plan to keep adding surveys, and you can sort them by new ones or what's recently updated, for example. Now, you can also look to see, well, there's a brief description. You can see some details. What does it cover? So if you had an employee that was exiting your organization, you can choose that. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to do a survey on a webinar evaluation. Now, I quickly created this today. Happy to get any feedback on what we might do to make it better. And we'll be reviewing it later. So it's got 12 questions in it. It covers demographics, speakers, organization, technology used, etc. So I'm going to click install. And when I click install, this survey will be instantly installed. So it's already installed. So if I now go back to my survey templates, and I go down to webinar evaluation, there's the survey that I just added from the library. Now, I added it early on and I gave it a different name. And this is something worth stressing. Everywhere in SparkChart, with surveys, with rating scales, with projects, you can copy instantly, and then you can edit. So if I wanted to copy the webinar evaluation, I can click on copy, give it another name. We'll call it 2017. Save it. And we now have a copy which I can go and edit without affecting the original one that's there. So now we've got this webinar evaluation survey. Now let's look at the content. So what are we going to ask? We're going to find out a little bit about you, and I've got some demographic fields here. So what I'd like to, I'm going to show you what the fields of work are, and I want you in the chat to tell me if there are any other categories that I need to add to this. So what we've got is options of SaaS, consultant, freelancer, digital services, marketer. Are there any other options that I should add? Anyone would like to plug some into chat? Sampath, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah.
All right, influencer. Okay, cool. Designer.
E-commerce store owner, business owner.
All right. Cool. A community owner. Okay, I'm not sure what a community owner is. I'll leave that for now. So, and we can allow people to expand on it if they wish. Now, with multiple choice questions, and this is multiple answers. So some of you might select several of these answers. We can also, in multiple choice questions, set minimum and maximum numbers and force people to choose, like a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5. So you can control that, make it required, allow people to comment, and you can add, we've got a theme added to that. All right, so let's go with that question in the demographics. So we've just changed that. And of course, we can quickly just move around some demographics. So I've got one there for Sampath. Maybe you could just tell me, right, someone wants to have a look at how it will look for the customer before explaining. All right, I'm going to distribute the survey to you shortly. So if you can just wait on for a short while, you'll be able to see what a survey looks like. Okay, so Sampath, I'll get you to come in. What other reasons might people be in the Facebook group?
Network, learn from others.
Anyone can come in with chat, and we'll
I can't think of anything more than that.
Right, that's fine. So I'll find good deals was one. All right, so let's just go to, why did you join this? Edit. Well, add another option. Find good deals. So, all right. So typically with a survey, you do need to think about the demographics because it does allow you to break up the data at the end and filter. And now, so what you can see is that when you download a survey template from our library, you can edit away. And if you want to go and re-download the survey, you can still go back to the survey library and download that survey template again. All right, so there are a couple of ways to create a survey, or several ways. One is start from scratch. The other is and just build it, put in whatever questions you want. Second is to be able to install it from the library. The third is to copy an existing one and then to start editing. And the fourth thing I'd say is in our roadmap, we're putting lots of surveys in. So if you've got any survey needs, let us know. If we think it's going to be something that's going to be worthwhile for a lot of people, then we'll build it and we'll put it into the library. Now, so we now have a survey. Let's look at creating a project. Okay, so now here we are in the projects area, and we've got 3 different types of projects here. We've got a survey demonstration, and it's grayed out because there's no survey attached to it. We can't actually do anything with it because there's no survey attached to it. These 2 projects have been launched, so we could go into those projects and we can just click on this button to enter the project, and there are shortcuts in places like up the top here. We can jump around to projects. But we've got this webinar evaluation from today, and it's based on that survey that we just edited. So let's just look at what we can create, what we can change in the survey. Well, we can give it a project name and a description. Really, this is for your benefit, so that you know what it's about. We've chosen the survey template. We can easily choose a different one, but we've chosen that one. The display, this is what appears at the top of the page when someone does the survey. In this case, I'm putting webinar evaluation. Got Spark chart. We're going to display the progress bar and the progress messages. So things like only 23 to go or 12 to go. The participants, this is, if we distribute surveys via email to people, they get a personalized message, and you can customize it here. And if you can also customize the finished text here. You can set default instructions, so you can click a button to insert them, but you know, we can easily change this, and you can also choose to redirect people at the end of the survey to a URL. Now, the satellites area is when you distribute surveys via Facebook, Google+, social media, websites, intranet. Perhaps you want to have an iPad where people come in and complete a survey as they come and visit your office, or your staff do it. You can choose the mail address that it goes from. By default, it will come from a no reply Spark chart address, but you can choose whatever sender name and email address you want. Choose your layout for the email. And here's where you can choose your branding, your logo. You can choose a custom footer, and you can choose your colors. Now, at the moment, these are the colors, but we will be having a color palette, so you can choose any color very shortly. And you can anonymize the responses. So there we go. We've got the survey project, and we're ready to launch it. So when I launch this, I'll click this button. What it's going to do is to create a copy of the survey template, copy of the rating scales and the themes, and everything. It's going to copy it into the project. So that means that if you edit a survey template, it is not going to affect your launch project. You don't have to worry about someone changing a survey template and affecting a project which is live. So we click start, and it will just quickly go through a countdown to check some things and to wrap up the project and copy it all over. So that's done. The survey is now we're ready to go to mission control. Now, on the left here, we've got these menus. I want to emphasize this. This is the dashboard menus: projects, survey templates, mail templates, rating scales, etc. And think of them all as being templates, because when we go to mission control, these menus are going to change. Sorry, I've just read someone's. So in the mission control, the menus out to the left have changed. We have the settings for the project. So here again, we can see all of those settings that we set up in the project before we launched it. They're all replicated here. So you can actually edit any of these items while the project's live. It's the one area when you can edit things and you can change a live project, but it won't affect the survey or the survey rating scales. But that means you can play around with it a little bit after you've launched the project. But what you'll see, you cannot see the survey here. If you launch a project and then discover when you're running a pilot that that you need to change something in the survey, you would need to relaunch the survey, and that's quite a simple, easy process to do. So, all right, we're now ready to add some participants. Now, if we add participants here, we can email them. So, for example, if I go to add participants and I go to from contacts, and I can email Mark, I can add Mark Sinclair as a participant, or I can import a list from a CSV. But if I've added my contacts, I can actually add them quite quickly here as well. Now, I can email everyone or selected people or those who haven't started, people who are in progress from here. So if I were to email myself, I can choose a mail template that's I didn't show you in the dashboard, but we can create them, a generic survey email. Put a comment in there, invite to survey. And I can send the survey, and then I will show you what that looks like in just a second. So I've received the invitation, and I can click on Start the Survey. And I'm in the survey here. The logo, the colors, the words that are here, the footer can all be customized for your own branding. And you can go ahead and complete the survey, and you'll see that some of you are probably going to complete it on your mobile phone. It's responsive and it's pretty easy to complete on a mobile phone. So that's one way to invite people to do the survey. Now, if I add some of these, I can actually, and I'll make this larger again. I can save this, or I can click next and go to the next page, and and complete the rest of the. So I inserted page breaks because I have got some questions which are free text questions. So I wanted them on their own page, one at a time, so that, and I would recommend that if you've got a lot of free text questions, you break them up so that people don't lose their work. It is saved as soon as someone clicks save or as soon as they click next. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is to get you all to do the survey. So I'm going to go to another area called satellites. And this is what we use for, Dave and I we like rocket language. So a satellite for us is a link which is going to sit on a website. It'll sit in in social media, and I'm going to create it and post one in the chat. So I'll call it Facebook group. I can require that you enter your name and email address, or I can make it optional. In this case, I'll just make it optional, so you won't be asked to enter that. I'll click save. Now I'm going to grab the link, copy the link, and I'm going to paste it in here. I've just pasted that in the chat window. So if you'd all like to just take a few minutes to complete the survey, we will then just look at analysing the results and create a report, and I'll share it with you. Any questions about doing that?
No questions. I am just starting to fill it up.
Right. Very good. In the meantime, Sampath suggested that I tell a bad joke, but I'm not very good at that. Can't see the links. So, oh, hang on. Sorry, my fault. First time using Zoom webinar, I've got to paste it for everyone, not just the panelists. Can everyone see that now? I hope so. Good, great. Now, on screen, I can see that a number of you have started the survey. You've been anonymised there. And I can see when you visited, started, and we'll be able to tell when you've finished it. So someone's finished. Well done, very quick.
That may have been me.
And me too.
And you too. No, we've only got one finished at the moment, Sampath. Oh, the free text questions at the end. Did you want them left for now, did you, Sampath?
Yeah, I thought I could fill that up
Okay.
after the webinar.
Yeah, good idea. Everyone, for the free text questions at the end, don't answer them now. What we'll do is we'll ask you to complete them if you can. I should have got people to register with your email address, but I didn't. So what you could do is, if you can leave the survey window open till after the session, and then add your comments. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is to move on. I'm assuming most of you have done the tick the box type questions by now. I'm going to create a report, and we call them sparks. A spark chart, so sparks. So to create a new spark, I click on New Spark, and I'll give it a name and a bit of a description. Again, I could tag it if I want, and I'll save that. So now I've actually created a spark and the spark has got all the results. Now, if we look out to the right, we can choose the respondents to include, but by default, it includes everyone. It includes people who have partially completed a survey as well. But you can actually go into respondents and you can choose to show just the completed, and you can also look at different groups. But we'll leave it by default as being everyone who's started or completed the survey. Now, in the layout, we can see the results. So we're seeing, okay, why people have joined the Facebook group, what best describes the work that they're doing, etc. Now, these are in default colors. We can see the response rate, 7 out of 9. Let me show you a couple of things. So let's go into the chart options and let's do a 3D donut and make it bright colors and update that. And we got a nice donut there. So here you can choose lots of different graph types, choose whether to show labels or legend. You can change the order to sort, for example. If I go to this one, I can sort by largest to smallest, and maybe I'll go 3D block and I might make it, let's go this green color. Save. So that's now sorted. This one is sorted highest to lowest. And so you can choose any type of graph. Now, here's something that we have, display options. You can choose what elements to hide. So you might choose to hide the response rate. You might also want to insert something like, this is great. And we'll make it heading 1. And so when I add this, this now appears in above the question. So if we shared this, you would be able to see these messages when you share it with someone. Now let's go, let's say we leave that Spark. We'll go back, we'll create another one, but what we're going to do is we don't want to lose the work we've done, we're going to copy it. And we are going to, from SAS. So we're going to create one which is filtered with just the SAS. So we'll go back in. So we've copied the last one. So all the elements will be the same messages. So what we'll do is we're going to filter now, and not by that one. We'll go down to the filters, and we're going to filter by the SAS people. You can choose others if you want. Apply that. So when you apply filters, it's just going to rebuild the graph, and my internet's going slow for some reason. Okay. So now some of you might be going, well, hang on, you ticked the SAS there, but why are these other people there? Well, that's because it was multiple choice, multiple answer. And some of you chose, are obviously involved in SAS and design. So, and we can apply multiple filters. So let's say we want the people who are in those age groups and apply them. And then we can start to get a breakdown of the results for the people who are SAS and in that particular age group and why they've joined. Now you can also do things like set defaults. You can hide all the questions. You can hide specific questions. So we might decide, for example, that we don't want to show the age group. So we're going to hide that one and update it. So that's hidden. So now we've got a couple of sparks, and you can create as many as you want for different audiences. You might have a report you create for your team or your leadership team, or for your marketing team, and then you might take that and create a presentation, a separate report for your customers, because it's based on the feedback they may have given you. And you can create a completely different report, potentially hiding free text comments, hiding certain things and only showing certain elements and having different messages. So let's look at how to share. So shares we call shares. And I'm going to, again, it's pretty simple, new share. We'll leave it open, no password required, and we don't need to put a description. Let's choose, we're going to share both of these that we just created, and we'll create some viewer options. So so here is feedback about the webinar. So maybe I'll make it one and bold. Here are some more messages. So we save that. And now we have a share, which we can, I'll copy the link address, and I'll share it with you in the chat. And so all these messages, the logo, the branding, will all be able to be customized. I can click in here and view this feedback for that particular spark. I can jump around to questions. I can jump to the other spark that I created. So I'm wondering, what are you thinking about the webinar? So information prior to the webinar was timely and informative. Yeah, quite a bit of agreement. Webinar is well organized. Well, that's good. So from my experience, agree and strongly agree are usually pretty positive. Disagree and strongly disagree are, for using that scale, you really need to look at that. And neutral, they're sort of sitting on the fence. So you want to work out how can we get them to agree. Technology was effective, okay. No one added any comments to that. The webinar facilitators were informative and kept me interested, okay. About the right length. Yep, so there's no feedback. Tell me whether you want it to be shorter or longer. Met my expectations. Dave, did you write this one? So
I played the fifth.
Yeah, okay. There we have a report. Dave, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say to everybody, based on the options you choose for participants in a Spark, for example, if you choose only completed versions or everybody, these views that you see here in the viewer are actually live. So as people complete more surveys, they will automatically update. So if you send out this link to, say, your management team, and say, here is the progress of the survey so far, each time they go back in, if there's new results, all of this will be updated automatically.
And the other thing too is that while if you've got a large survey that you're doing with a lot of people out there, you can be viewing the results, and you can be filtering and doing your analysis while starting to do your analysis while people start to, complete the survey. Okay, so we've been through and we've covered off on the dashboard. I'll just summarize. Covered off how to create a survey. We've then created a project, launched it, got you to complete the survey, and then produced and shared a report. So let's just go back quickly. We're going to come to Q&A in just a moment. So our roadmap. Our roadmap is on our website at sparkchart.roadmap.space. And you can add feedback there. So we'd really welcome any feedback you've got, but you can also email me directly. So it's mark@sparkchart.com, and you've got my Facebook. And I'll be happy to answer your questions and give you more detailed feedback if we haven't answered it today. But we're working on the new user experience because surveys are complex. We want to make it as easy as possible. We know we've got more work to do on that. Zapier integrations, we have 2 or 3 coming within the week, and then we have also already contractually committed to developing 2 or 3 more in the next few months once we start to get feedback on what are the most important integrations. More answer types, more library templates, a survey advisor feature to help you create great surveys, and crosstabs. So we also are looking at more integrations then in the future, MailChimp, etc., Zendesk, you name it, and a range of other things, including custom domains and multiple languages. Although you can do multiple languages at the moment, it's just the user interface is in English, and the next and finish buttons are in English, but we should be able to change them quite quickly. So Q&A. All right. Who would like to start off and ask a question?
Mark, we already have 2 questions pending here. Yes, when someone has asked, so we can use images in option if we want people to choose images, like instead of voting, they can just vote as images. Is that doable?
Dave, I'll throw you. This is something we're working on. It's coming very shortly.
Yep, we're going to have embedded images for answers instead of, say, radio buttons on text. So that's on the very soon roadmap.
Plus, we'll be able to insert videos, GIFs, and images throughout the survey. Plus, in other areas, like the welcome instructions.
Yep, that's already in testing. It just hasn't been flicked to the live server yet.
So we'd expect that within a few days, or Dave?
Yep, definitely.
Yep.
Perfect.
Right.
And we have another question that says, does SparkChart support multiple languages?
Okay, Dave, do you want to pick this one up? Because we've talked about it.
Sure. So right now you can obviously use any kind of language to build your survey. So the questions, the answers can appear in any language. Obviously the survey title can be in any language and so forth. So realistically now the only things that are set in English are things like the buttons that you saw on the survey, which is next, last, save, and finish. However, we are actually going to make those captions changeable by you in the project options. So where you saw the options for changing colors and so forth, there will be a section there where you'll actually be able to relabel the buttons. So if you don't want the button to be finished survey, but you want it to be something, even if it's in English, but something completely different, you'll be able to do that. And that will be live again within a couple of days. So once that feature is live, you can actually create a complete foreign language survey, but the control panel itself will still be in English for the time being.
Any more questions?
So we have a few questions from the group, from the thread. Okay, so let me pull that up. 1 second.
All right.
So there was this deal on AppSumo that is called Customer Guru, so which is basically for NPS.
Yep.
So can we, is SparkChart capable of doing what Customer Guru can do, like both via on-page as via email? Can we get NPS service done? Is that doable?
All right, so I brought up Customer Guru before. We'll need a bit of time to look into exactly what they're doing here. They're very focused on Net Promoter Score. And we can do Net Promoter Score, and we have plans to make it, you know, do a lot more with it. So I'm just trying to work out, so it looks to me, Sampath, and I'm not sure because, you know, I haven't signed up, I haven't tried them before. I'd probably need to do a bit of research and come back to answer that one properly, to see what sort of features they've got that we can add or build into SparkChart if we're going to do that, because you know, obviously we won't build every feature. Customer Guru have got their particular niche. I'm sure there are lots of things that we've got that they don't do. So can I commit to having a look into that further and coming back to the group, Sampath?
Of course, that's fine. Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there's a question from Foden. I'll just unmute Foden so he can ask you directly. Foden, I'm just unmuting you, just giving you a heads up. I don't see that option here.
Oh, maybe I can, Foden. Let me just try that. Foden, can you speak now? I've unmuted him. Maybe it's at his end, I'm not sure. So I've got the message here from before. Can we add small quick surveys directly on our pages like Hotjar? Now, I don't know about Hotjar, but can you add them on pages? Does it have a WordPress plugin? Yes, you can put surveys onto onto pages, either in an iframe or you can have a link to the survey. And David might want to expand on that a bit more, but if I were to, I'm not sure if people have seen the use cases on our website, but we've put some surveys on our website under use cases. And so if you look at the customer satisfaction survey here, it's live on this website. If you complete the survey here, we'll get the results. So we don't have a WordPress plugin. Someone did ask about that. But the other question is about API or webhook to automate the survey with the sales process. Dave, do you want to talk about APIs and webhooks?
Yep. So with the, I mean, it really depends on what you want to be able to do with the survey or with results. I mean, we don't have a public API as in front facing yet. So really, I mean, if people have an idea of what they would like to see and what will work best for their business, we're always very open to ideas, and we can turn around things very quickly. That said, with things like conditional endpoints and so forth on the surveys, there will be options there to be able to direct people to certain, to obviously different URLs based on responses, but also options to send query parameters or form or submit via a post. So you will be able to get certain information from the survey and pipe that into your system as well. So
And the Zapier integrations, there are a number of things that we've talked to our developers about. We've got some potentially interesting use cases there in terms of, for example, someone signing up to a newsletter or to your website or a blog or something, and then potentially to be able to that person to automatically become a participant in a project and for the survey to be sent out for them to complete. But we're talking to one of the developer groups on the Zapier website. There are only 2 of them on Zapier, 2 development groups, and we're using one of them to develop our Zapier integrations. So Sampath, do you want me to go on to Constantine's? Constantine there still?
Yes, please.
Okay. Very good. API webhooks, forwarding results to other tools and pre-filling questions, passing values to SparkChart via URL. Is there authentication? Can I use tokens to control user access to my survey? What happens if user abandons survey before finish? Well, if they abandon survey before finish, the results are still in there, and you can choose whether you share them or not.
In the participants, sorry to interrupt, Mike. In the participants list, you can see when everybody has started a survey, what date and time. So you can judge from that point of view whether they've abandoned it or whether they're going to come to it at a later date. And like Mark said, yeah, you can either not include them in the Spark results, or you can just simply delete them from the participants list.
There's a question here about, okay, can they continue the survey later? Yes, they can, provided you've either emailed them the survey, so they've got the link with their password, or you can force them to, or give it an option for them to enter their email address when they complete the survey from Facebook or social media. If they do that, then they get an email sent to them automatically with the link to the survey, so they can log back in at any time and complete the survey. But if you don't force them to enter their email address when they're doing it, say, on Facebook, then there's no way that we can follow them up and give them another link, as long, provided they, unless of course they copy the URL that they're on. Is there logic if then that in displaying the questions, can you have hidden questions? Well, yes, with logic, you will be able to hide questions based on how people respond. Dave is finalising the conditional logic at the moment. Do you want to talk about it briefly, Dave?
Yep, sure. I mean, we've got that feature in final testing now. Initially, we're going to 3 different cases for logic. So one case will be obviously hiding questions based on responses to certain questions, so the survey will change. Your second one will be an endpoint, so meaning if for a particular question, if they choose, well, whichever answer again, it can finish the survey automatically, so it will just guide them to the thank you screen. And there will be the endpoint redirect, meaning based on whichever answers they choose, you can redirect them to another website afterwards. And obviously you can have as many of these conditions as you like. So if you've got 10 questions, you could have an endpoint redirect for every answer. If that's the kind of data you're gathering and you want them to be sent to other areas.
Okay. So, Constantine, does that answer your questions? If you can.
Oh, I see one more question from Constantinos there.
Right.
Can you see individual user answers? Yes, you can. In the participants list, there is a view results button next to each person. Yes. Now, if you turn survey anonymizing on, obviously all you're going to see is anonymous user 47 or whatever it may be. But, well, that's part of the part of the anonymized feature. So if you can turn that off and actually see the people names, but yes, you can see all of the results.
So I'm showing that on the screen at the moment, the results of this person. Okay. The current abilities and limitations of conditional logic and whether they can be tied into integrations with other apps or Zapier. We expect they will be able to be tied in. I can't define that at the moment though. When will we implement image button radio buttons to make the forms more visually engaging? Now we had Yep, go on, Dave.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was just going to say, well, at the moment, we're just pushing to get the conditional logic live. So as soon as that's up, the next thing to be tested and pushed live will be the much more rich editors throughout the system, including support for, images and video. I mean, you can already obviously insert those via HTML anyway, but make it easier. So you better just upload directly the images and have YouTube videos embedded and so forth.
All right. Now, there are quite a few questions here from Sean. And I don't think Sean's online. So, Sampath, how do you want to handle this?
Yeah, there's like too many questions from Sean. Yeah, so I think we have covered a few of them.
Can the results pages be customized to include CTAs? Yes, we'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do that. I wasn't clear on the next ones. Does the user get the opportunity to download the results as a branded PDF? Well, if we go back to the results of the survey, we can print and download the results to PDF. So hopefully that answers that one. Does the user get the opportunity to share the results? So I think we've covered that, haven't we, Sampath? Does the user get the opportunity to invite others to the survey so they can compare results? So I'm not sure whether the user is the user of the software, SparkChart, or the user is a respondent completing a survey. But either way, you can do both. You can create links that people can share. I can give Sampath a link to a survey and he can share it with anyone to complete that. And I can call that link the Sampath link and actually track all the responses that people give to Sampath's link or to a Facebook or some other place. And I can also share results like I've shown today. Does SparkChart have webhooks? We've talked about that. What's the biggest feature SparkChart has over Typeform? Well, there's a couple of things. I think the reporting, if you look at Typeform, is Typeform's a good tool, really nice tool. They're very good at following up. The reporting is quite a lot limited compared to SparkChart, and also the distribution in terms of targeted emailing, following up, reminders, and there are quite a few more features that go beyond, I think, what Typeform has, which is really focused a lot on forms and maybe shorter form surveys, but not more comprehensive surveys and reports. Does SparkChart have tooltips? Can tooltips have video embeds? Dave, do you want to talk about that one?
Well, I'm not sure what he specifically means by tooltips, but like we said, we're going to get like rich media embedding in there very soon, like next few days. So, I mean, you'll be able to embed Vimeo and YouTube and so on, or anything off your servers.
What I would say though is you can insert headings, instructions, messages anywhere in the survey. And I did a survey just recently for a school, and I put their entire policy for their school uniform into the survey so that everyone doing it could read that. All right, the next one, A/B testing. Will we be including anything on that? I think we'll have to take this on board to think about whether we do that. I can't commit to that. When a survey is saved halfway through, yes, that's covered. What will the branding look like on surveys themselves, or will it be completely white labeled? You can choose colors, logo, words, messages, use your own email address.
Yep. So, I mean, as you all saw, the surveys are completely white branded or white labeled. But also this viewer that you'll see right now on Mark's screen here, that's also going to get the same thing. So you will be able to just set the colors for the headers and the footers and stuff of the viewer. And again, it'll be representative of your survey. So if you set your survey up in red or, you know, any of the colors that you chose, all of that will be reflected here as well.
Great. Will we be able to manage our client accounts from the same console? Well, we have a consultant plan, which allows, in the consultant plan, which allows consultants or enterprises to add accounts. So add more SparkChart accounts. And from that console, you can actually access and add clients and manage clients. I'll give you a brief look at one by dragging it into here. And so in this particular consultant console, we've got a whole lot of accounts, and here we can add new clients, we can copy projects, copy surveys, and copy mail templates from one account to another. So that's in our consultant plan. But the consultant plan, what I should say is that the accounts inside a consultant plan are SparkChart accounts. There's no difference between the accounts. What you get with a consultant is the management console. All right, what else? Constantine. Thanks, Constantine. Saying we're a demanding crowd. No, look, it's a good point. Thank you for thinking of us. But we are, you know, in terms of what Sampa said, we are really keen to get feedback about every possible idea. We're not saying we'll implement every idea, but we'll certainly consider them all. So I think that's all the questions that were on the Facebook feed, Sampa.
Yes, you have got it all covered.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect. So hope that's helpful for each and every one of you. And if by any chance we have missed answering any of your questions or something that's not covered, except for the question, when are you going to be on AppSumo? I don't know either. And I asked Mark twice, when are you going live on AppSumo? He said suspense. That is all the answer I got. Yeah, as soon as the moment, like I always promise, the moment SparkChart goes live on AppSumo, you'll be the first to know in the group.
The final thing I'd say is that we have got lots of plans to keep improving, developing, enhancing. We've been running projects for 2 years, even though we've only just going live with our and we haven't been to market as well. We're only just going live now because we've been doing a lot of testing and development of features, but we still have a lot more that we want to add. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone, for your time tonight. It's probably gone longer, I think, than you thought, but, you know, surveys are complex. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And thank you all for staying tuned, like all over the walkthrough, and for all your questions and participation. I will get the recording from Mark and I'll upload it to the group sometime today or later tomorrow. Thank you once again. Cheers.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.